And I think that if every man's honest with himself, that's what every man wants. If you get away with all the Matrix garbage and all the Matrix has told you all this crap, like be humble and all this other garbage, throw it away. Why do you play sports?
To win.
To win. Why do you want to put a ball in a net more times than the other people? To show that you're better than them at putting a ball in a net. How insignificant an action. A ball in a net. Who cares? A much more significant action would be making a bunch of money, or being physically stronger, or a better fighter, or being smarter, a quicker talker, or being more well-known, more respected, more influential. That's far more important than putting a ball in the net. And you'll spend your time putting a ball in the net to prove you're better than other people. So don't sit and say that I'm a bad person for proving I'm better than everyone else by all the things I'm doing. That's masculine competition. By extension, the men who do not think like me, the losers, because you lose. If there's a game being played and some men realize it's a battle and some men don't realize there's a battle going on, how can they possibly win? So some of you men are waking up every day not realizing you're in a forever permanent competition with every single man around you for everything, all of the time. And that doesn't ever cross your mind and you wonder why you permanently lose. Well, it crosses my mind and that's why I'm beating you. Women want the men who think this way. Women want the men who understand this, who win. That's what women want. So you can call it arrogant, you can call it egotistical. I call it winning. I call it realism. I call it realistic. And the best things about having most of the things I have is that other people can't have them. That's the bottom line of it. It's the reason why billionaires buy a bigger yacht than the billionaire next to them. They do not need an extra 20 feet of deck space. They want the biggest yacht in the harbor. It's the reason why they buy one-of-one Picassos. It's the reason why when Bugatti launch a new car with 80 units, they're all sold same day. That's why. Because winners all think the same way. And anyone who sits and goes, well, you should be more humble. I hear that sometimes. And then I look at who said it to me. And whenever someone tells me their opinion, this is a habit I give everyone at home. Whenever somebody gives you their opinion on anything, listen to the opinion and then stop and look at who told it to you. Because you never want to adopt the thinking of somebody who you don't want to be. Because their thinking made them. So whatever they believe in their mind is why they are the person they are. So if somebody sits and says to you, you should be more humble. I sit and think, okay, this is how my brain works. He believes I should be more humble. That's how his mind operates. The closer my mind operates to his mind, the more likely I am to be like him. Who is he? And I'll look at the person who said that to me and say, no, sir, I refuse. Being humble, is that how you got to where you are? Is that how you got? You keep humble, I'll keep winning, and you can get. Because most people who talk about humble, all they really want is to not be reminded of how they have failed. They don't want me to make it clear to them that they have failed.
As a man, you are most formidable if everything is your fault. If it rains outside and you get wet, that is still your fault. Can you control the rain? No. Could you have brought an umbrella? Yes. You need to blame yourself for all things, the good and the bad. And by doing this, you take absolute self-accountability, which allows you to build a mental model in which you will find solutions, 1. 2, avoid trouble, because you know that anything bad happens to you is your fault. And 3, be the most fearsome competitor possible, because we're living in a very competitive world nowadays amongst the elites. The people who understand that you're living inside of a fish tank are trying very hard to get out. And you have to make sure that you can outrun some of them if you want to escape. It's an age-old adage. If a bear is chasing a group of people, you do not have to be the fastest one. You just have to be faster than the slowest. The slowest person is going to die. So as long as you're ahead of the majority of people, and you already should be because you're watching this emergency meeting, you stand a very good chance of avoiding slavery.
Yeah, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, which is a very, very profound statement, which I really like, because if everybody was inherently super lazy, everybody, and nobody did any work, working 2 hours a week would put you in the top 1% of people. But the secret is, Andrew, that in fact, most people are super inherently lazy. And when I mean work, I don't mean show up at your job. I don't mean go and do your hours and go and do your shift. I mean, they don't work to achieve anything better than what they've got. When they're home from work, they're not working on their side hustle, they're not working on their business, they're playing video games, they're watching Netflix, they're listening to music, they're booking concert tickets. You're 100% right. Most people are actually that lazy. So it isn't actually that hard to be in the top 1 or 2% of performers worldwide, because your competition isn't that scary.
And this goes to show, being a hater will never work. And hate never comes from above. Being a hater and trying to drag successful people down will never work. You've seen how me and my friends live our lives. You can't drag us down. Even if you hate us, if you truly hated us and you had an iron mind, you would take all of that hate and use it to become as successful as possible yourself. Outcompete us, beat us, become better than us, but they can't. So instead they try to drag us down. There's a version of you that never sleeps in, never skips training, never wastes time. There's a version of you who never fails. It is waiting for you. Genuinely ask yourself a question, you at home. If you had done those things for the last 2 years, you never skipped a training, you never wasted time, you never scrolled TikTok, you never jerked off to Pornhub, you never sat aimlessly on the internet typing in garbage, never played video games, you never wasted time. You never skipped training, you were training every single day. You never slept in, you were never lazy. There's this version of you. Imagine the person you would be. Genuinely imagine what you would look like. Imagine where you would live. Imagine the car you would drive. Imagine how much your woman would respect you. Imagine the love you would see in her eyes when she looks at you with adoration like a king. Imagine your existence. That person is waiting for you. And the only thing that's stopping you from being that person is your monumental laziness. You can have it. The universe is very giving. It will give you anything you work for. I've never seen somebody try for something with all of their might and not get it. The only people who do not have the things they want are the people who do not try for them. I've never seen a person wake up and say, my only dedication in life is to solve a Rubik's Cube and fail. You are not stupid. You are not incompetent. You are lazy and arrogant. It's extremely important you understand that that person is waiting for you and you are declining that version of yourself. In the multiverse, in the many different versions of the universe that exist, there is a version of you that does those exact things. And he is a greater person than you can even fathom. You can transform yourself into that guy. You can be a top G. That's exactly what I did. I knew who I was going to have to end up being before I became that person. My brother and I are not from rich families. We are not from advantaged beginnings. But I knew I had to be a big, strong, fighting billionaire. That's what I knew I had to be. I wanted to be Batman, so I became Batman. It's extremely important that I got up knowing what I wanted to be and did it. And it's also another important point I want to make because I tweeted this last night. I don't know if I have the screenshot. Pain is an extremely important part of the equation. Pain is the elixir of success. When people say this bad thing happened to me and I'm suffering, I say good. It is pain which is required. It's one of the elements in the chemical reaction. If a chemical reaction requires 5 particular distinct compounds and you have 4 and you're missing 1, it simply doesn't work. Pain for a man is one of the most important elements in becoming successful. Batman is Batman because they killed his parents. If they did not kill his parents, he would not be Batman. You're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to take that pain. The worst thing that can happen to you as a man is you live a life with no pain in it. To be born into a rich family and have a nice, easy life and be given money and you don't have to go to the gym and not have to train because you have bodyguards and sit around like a fuck up. You're going to be miserable and unhappy and a drug addict buying prostitutes. You're only going to have women who adore you. You're only going to feel confident in yourself and feel happy when you've been through hell and come out the other side. The pain is required. And you'll often notice that people who are better than you are people who have suffered more than you have suffered. So the person who is waiting for you, he requires your motivation. It also requires huge amounts of pain. So when bad things happen to you, do not sit at home and lament. Do not feel sorry for yourself. Instead, look in the mirror and say, thank you, God, for giving me one of the ingredients that is needed for the chemical concoction that is going to turn me into a superhero. Because pain is an extremely important one. In fact, it's one of the most important ones for a man.